one of the things that we wanted to talk about was kind of just searching in general, and maybe a little bit more of kind of the balance of life, and what searching should kind of bring to that, and how to find the right business.
I think that one of the big questions that comes up in that direction is where am I thinking about finding my deal? Am I going to be talking to brokers? Am I going to be going proprietary? Am I going to find some kind of hybrid between the two? I'll lay all my cards out on the table. Private Market Labs focuses on broker deals. So clearly we like brokers and we like broker deals. Here's why. Broker deals are more likely to close and they tend to close faster. This is because one, the sellers in broker deals are already motivated to close. They are available for sale. They've been thinking about it. They're ready to go. Two, even in a situation where the broker is not providing a lot of help, the broker is still helping the seller put their financials together, get themselves mentally ready to go, pull information, help them understand the process. That's really underrated in this process. Three, you're in a situation where as you go through that process, there's like this initial, people talk about there's an initial excitement, right? Oh, we're interested in each other. This business is going to be great. Everyone's really excited. And then you start to get into this, the doldrums of the due diligence process, the doldrums of the LOI process, and people can lose motivation. They could start to dislike each other. Buying a business isn't inherently, even though you try to make it cooperative, it can be an adversarial relationship between the buyer and the seller. Everyone is trying to get the maximum amount that they can. And the broker plays an important role helping manage the seller's emotions and understanding of the process through that process. Some brokers are much better than others, and we admit that and we know that, but we also know that without a broker, there are some situations where a buyer will look at a non-broker deal and say, oh, this seller's going to think I'm just like their long lost grandkid, and they're going to want to sell to me only, and I'm going to continue their legacy. And that does happen, but not that often. And you're more likely to have a seller who, when stuff gets hard, they have no one to turn to. Maybe they'll get cold feet. It's just not as seamless. So that's one reason why we think broker deals should be a part of every portfolio. Proprietary deals are also important. So we also recommend people look proprietary. We don't think you should look only brokered or only proprietary, but do a combination of both. I'll say that, the benefits are flipped. So you're much more likely to find a deal that is a little bit cheaper because you're the only buyer talking to that seller. And you're more likely to build that close relationship. If you can find a really great proprietary deal, it can be to your benefit. The challenges with the proprietary deals are the data has become very ubiquitous, and there are a lot of really good data providers for off-market deals. And we all know who they are, right? But like, people are subscribing to one or two of the same companies using the same data sets, PPP loans, the Secretary of State data, the SBA data, like everyone's using the same data formatted in a slightly different way. And what it means is that a much higher percentage of off-market sellers have heard from a searcher before. These people are smart. They've been running successful businesses. And if you've reached out to that seller, it's becoming more likely that someone else has already reached out to them too. And that sort of, oh, wow, I didn't even know it was possible to sell my business to an individual person. That piece of it is just, it's still there, but it's just a little less prominent. So you're still facing some competition. Obviously, on the brokerage side, because of the growth in the number of searchers, broker deals are as competitive as ever. And, we're still dealing with that too. I'm not going to say, oh, broker deals are a cakewalk either. I would say that it's generally a challenging process, and there's just a lot of considerations on both sides.
Yeah, I do feel like there's been a pick a side, I guess is what we'd call it, in the search world. And a lot of the searchers just can't stand brokers. And then same with sometimes with the sellers, right? They feel like, oh, they're too expensive. They're just trying to pump up my price, take their money, or a lot of them feel like they waste their time. So I think maybe the major caveat is there's more of a divide between like good brokers and bad brokers. And I feel like over the last 10 years, I'm seeing it kind of swing to where you're starting to see a little bit better brokers, like, kind of coming to the surface. And so for me, kind of like what I consider a better broker is somebody that definitely completely understands valuation. They're using real world financial information from tax returns, or, even maybe doing a quality of earnings, doing something to verify that financial information. So when they're determining the value, they're basing it off of something that a savvy buyer is going to use and what they're going to look at, especially if they need any kind of lending. And from there, they're listing it properly, and then they're working as more of an independent person in the middle of the transaction to try to get both sides to come to an agreement, and then also trying to keep them on track. So oftentimes when I have a searcher say, oh, well, I'm just looking for a deal without a broker, I hate brokers, I don't want anything to do with a broker, I usually try to get them to understand, hey, look, I've been doing this a lot longer than you. Let me try to explain to you. I do understand your frustrations and where you're coming from and what you're likely hearing from other searchers in the industry. However, here's an example of a great broker, and here's how they're bringing it to market, and then here's how they're getting the deal from start to finish, and how they can really help. And then I also can give a lot of good examples where there's deals without a broker. And I feel like if I'm doing the financing, I kind of end up being the broker.
Right.
Without getting the huge paycheck that the brokers get. And so it's, if anything, I do like having a broker there, because you've got kind of a buffer, especially again, a good broker who's going to jump in, help collect things, help shepherd the deal across the finish line. But when there's not a broker, it can be very frustrating as a lender being in the middle of it, because I'm trying to get, basically play broker, but then also be the lender, and then trying to get everybody on the same page. And I don't have any kind of authority or ability to, push one, from one side to the other. And we still get those deals done. They just seem to be a little bit more of a challenge.